Okay, hello all. Nice to see you here. My name is Maciej Treder, and today I would like to talk a little bit, tell you a story about this conference, about the moment when we decided to create this event, to prepare for that. We obviously immediately ran into an idea to create a website. So when you are getting such idea, you need to consider a couple things. First of all, you need to think about the usability. This is the moment when you are answering yourself a question if this button should be here, or maybe should it be placed somewhere else, where given link should lead our customers, etc. After that, the graphic designer is coming to the game. They are proposing some user interface. Then you are going to transfer it to the HTML plus CSS. That's the moment when not everybody understands that this period should be closed in some time, and often marketing team especially is coming to you and asking you for that just one little bit small changes, which put us really angry as an engineers. So those two first points are our nightmare. So I would like to focus on the two next ones. The first one is technology. When you are creating a website, you have mainly two paths to choose. First one is a traditional website. What I have on my mind under this term is a set of HTML and CSS plus JavaScript, which is loaded from the content, from the origin. Whenever user clicks some things, the content is reloaded again. You can see in the navigation bar that the website is reloading. So if you got stuck in the early 90s, this is something what is probably okay for you. Another path is to go with a single page app. Here we are trying to make user experience smooth. We are trying to make our application amazing, make our end users love it. As you can see here, there is no reload of the site. The content is, the view stays intact. The content is loaded under the hood by the AJAX calls. And this is all of that thanks to the JavaScript introduced this term, the AJAX call term, was first used something around 2005. So of course, JavaScript is something what a lot of developers don't like. Especially, for sure they don't love it, then sometimes don't even like it. But nowadays we have multiple frameworks which help us to develop single-page applications. There is Vue.js there on the stage, Angular, React.js, etc. On our end, we decide to choose Angular because of a couple reasons. First of all, it's maintained by the well-established company. There is a huge community behind that, so whenever you run into some progress, into some problems, you have someone who you can ask for help. Also, it ships with the super nice command line interface. And it supports the TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. It's helping you to organize your code, check the types at the compile time, and so on. So we are in 2005. In 21st century, we use AJAX calls. We don't change our view. We inject content automatically by AJAX calls, but we are still 13 years behind us. So let's move to the present time and welcome the progressive web app. This concept is about making applications reliable, engaging, and fast. How it's done is if you will create your application in proper way, when user is navigating to it by the first time, first of all, Android devices will ask you to install this application to add it to the home screen. Of course, you are doing that, and then your application behaves more like a native one. It's giving you an App Store experience without an App Store, of course. There is also a push notifications and some other fancy things which you can use. So let's focus on the first bullet point and speak a little bit how to make our application reliable. In modern browsers, When the web workers concept was invited, we are able to use something what is named a service worker. And normally, when you are loading your website, the JavaScript is executed only in the same thread in which your website is running. So as long as your customer stays online, you can perform some actions on his browser. What service worker is doing is a persistent background processing. So whenever your end user is leaving website, you are still able to execute code on his machine. And this gives us a possibility to use new APIs. Those APIs are, for example, push notifications. This is how it looks on Opera, on desktop. And this is how it looks on Android devices. As you can see, whenever someone is subscribed to push, he needs to, of course, allow push notifications, and then it appears on the, in the notification center like notification from any other native app. A part of that service worker is bringing us to the possibility of caching content. So you can give your user the offline experience. It's 100% like a native application. On our end, we decided to use strategy which is named cache failing back to the network. So when you are navigating to the Akamai Affinity.com, we are serving the content from your cache, and after that we are checking if there's something new on the origin. If it is, we are just reloading it on your device. Probably you saw that I am mostly speaking about Android devices, so you could ask what about Apple and all that stuff. So service worker is supported by most of the modern browsers, except the Safari, unfortunately. This is the first moment in the IT history, I think, when Microsoft win the competition with someone. Yeah. But it's still 85% of the market. A part of that, as I said, you don't need to be worried about that, because progressive web app is still just a website. So if your customer doesn't have able to run service worker, he is just falling back to the traditional website. Let's move forward and speak a little bit about engaging, how we are engaging our customers. We already scratched the surface with the push notifications. You already saw how application is installed on the user device, and this prompt, which is asking about the installation, is displayed thanks to the manifest JSON file. It is linked to in the HTML as cascading style sheet are, so there is no super logic under that. It is just informing what is the name of our app. We are giving the browser information about set of icons which we want to use on the splash screen, on the home screen. We also decide in what display mode we want to run our application. So we are reliable, we are engaging. Finally, we want to be fast. Because we are at Akamai, we want to be fast as hell. So this is where environment meets technology. How single-page apps work, in fact. Whenever user is navigating to the origin, he's making some request, we are really often wildcard any path which is requested from the origin and respond with the same HTML and JavaScript file. This is a common SPA problem because the whole bootstrap, the render process, is done on the browser. We are sending a lot of JavaScript code together with thin HTML, which is just this big. So there is no possibility for Sender giant robots or any other crawlers to fetch the data, read your website. I heard that Googlebot is able to render Angular. Okay, I believe them, but for sure other search engines are not. Also, you got lack of the prefetching data in the social media like Facebook or LinkedIn. They are just not working with traditional single-page application. Because of that, we are not sending the HTML rendered on the server side. There is also a problem from content delivery networks like Akamai, which lives between your customers and your origin. On our end, we can cache only this one version of HTML with the big JavaScript code. So how could we solve that? What if we could move the bootstrap moment, which without SSR is done on the browser, with the first meaningful page, to the server and give our customer already rendered site that give browser a chance to play a little bit with HTML and CSS, and after that we are bootstrapping JavaScript and just replacing the view. This concept is named Angular Universal. If you will go for that, I don't want to describe it in. I don't want to describe it more deeply because I want to make this talk something more engaging you to look up for data. So I just want to show what are the results of going with the server-side rendering. Whenever another customer is navigating to your origin, you deliver for him the dynamically rendered unique HTML version for this particular route. All of that is done on the Node.js. So we are running into the next topic right now, because if you want to render something on the server side, you definitely need some compute resources. You are no longer able to host your website on the traditional hosting. So you cannot just push your HTML with JavaScript and style sheets to the S3. You need some compute resources to run Node.js on it. And this is where we use the function as a service concept. Some people name it just serverless. It's an event-driven, super cheap environment because you are paying only for the uptime of your application. So normally, you don't need to pay for the cost-consuming EC2 container, for example, which is running 24 hours per day. Your machine is just going to sleep. Whenever the request comes from your user, it's waking up, rendering it, responds with HTML, and thanks to that, you can make a use of the Angular Universal and server-side rendering. There is also multiple providers on the market, so you can choose whichever you like and just go for it. So summarizing that whole talk, what we mentioned already about the application, about the technology, we used Angular to create the progressive web app together with server-side rendering done on Node.js, served from the AWS Lambda, and thanks to that, we are able to Akamize it and give you a super user experience. That's all. Thank you for coming, and have a nice day. I hope there are no questions. I'm not able to answer anything.
But still, if you have questions, raise your hand. Sorry.
Go on.
What about cache invalidation in such situation?
Okay, give me a moment. I need to get a breath.
No problem.
What about what?
Cache invalidation, because this page is considered a static page. And for example, let's say you are changing the version, there will be new probably index HTML file and JavaScript file. And those are just static files. They might be cached in browser. And we had issue with that, so we
You are asking about the server-side rendering concept. First of all, you can define your cache invalidation with time to live header, as far as I know. And basically, what the point is that you are not, in fact, your view doesn't depend on the JavaScript which you are sending to the browser, the rendering one. I don't know if I get you correctly.
There are a few things with progressive web apps. So
with progressive web apps,
yes.
progressive web app or with server-side rendering?
Progressive web app.
Okay.
So it might have offline cache,
yeah.
But you also have to handle somehow version change when, for example,
different progressive web apps. So, okay, I have progressive web app under akamaiaffinity.com. I want to make some change in it, and I want to refresh it on the user devices. That's the point. Yep. You know, with Angular, it's super easy because Angular version of PWA library gives you an API where you can just ask if there is new version of the service worker available on the origin. And you can do with that whatever you like. You can install it and reload user page, or you can install it and prompt user to reload the website. Because whenever you will update the service worker, you need to close all the instances of the given website, and when you will navigate to it again, you will be running the fresh version, the latest one from the origin. So if you are able to programmatically download new version, then I think you are at home. Is it enough? It's super simple. Are you using Angular or your end or some other framework? Which version? As far as I remember, since version 4, there is this API which gives you a possibility to just... Okay, maybe that's the point. Or maybe you are not using the service worker which is provided by Angular team, because there is a lot of ways how you can make your application PWA. The Angular PWA library is just one way. There are multiple other solutions which you could apply. You can also write your service worker script by your own. And really often this is when developers are running into issue because they are stuck in this unupdatable code. Maybe that's the case. Thank you. You're welcome.